Hey guys, Deanne Taylor here. So in this video, I am going to talk again about the public preview of Power Virtual Agents. And in this video, I'm going to do a deep dive of all the options that we have available now when we are creating a question node in Power Virtual Agents. So if you're interested, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. If you're familiar with the way that Power Virtual Agents works today, then you know that we don't really have a lot of options when it comes to questions. Right here you can see a topic where I have a question where the question is, what's your email address? And I have some options, but not a lot. So from here, you can see I can either delete this question, I can add a comment to this question, right, for other makers or bot builders, or I can skip my question, right? I can allow users to skip the question if a response has already been provided previously, or I can say, ask this question every time. But that was really everything that we could do with those questions. There were no additional options. Now let's take a look in the new Power Virtual Agents, which is currently in public preview. So here we are in the preview of Power Virtual Agents. And if I click here on the node menu, and if I click on properties, you can see that it's telling me that we can actually now control how the bot asks this question and also how to identify the entity. Well, we already knew how to do that, right? We're identifying what type of data is looked for this particular question, right? It's saying how many people will be in your party. So the entity that I'm choosing here is number, which means I want the end user to enter a number, and I'm going to call that variable party size. Now let's drill into this question behavior, because as you can see, there is a lot more functionality that we have here now. So the first thing is this skip question. And we were already familiar with that from the way that Power Virtual Agents works today. So you can allow the question to be skipped, or you can ask for it to be asked every time, right? Now, the difference here is that we can just switch this to formula, which is going to allow us to enter a Power FX formula. So this is going to give us a lot more flexibility, right? And the way that this works is that if the statement in the Power FX formula is true, then the question will be skipped. So for example, if you wanted to check data in a variable related to a question that was asked earlier in the conversation, then you could. So let's say you asked, I don't know, like a yes, no type of question earlier, and you want to skip the question if the answer to that question was no. So these are some of the things that you can do right now in this preview. Now, this is a very simple example, but I hope this kind of explains how this type of functionality works. And then we have the reprompt, as you can see over here. And it kind of explains that to you as well, right? It says here, if the bot doesn't get a valid answer to the question, it can ask the question again. And then you can kind of hover your mouse over here as well. So it says the maximum number of times to ask the question when a valid entity is not identified. Okay, what does that mean? Right? Remember I told you earlier, we actually identified this question as a number, right? As a number entity. That means that we're looking to get an answer as a number, right? So if you don't get that, if you don't get that type of answer, so for example, if somebody enters blue in here, then you can have the bot ask a question again, and that's that reprompt. Now you can ask the same question again, or you can configure or customize the question or the suggestion, whatever you want to call that, that's going to be shown to the end user. So let's take a look at that. So you can see here that I actually have my retry prompts, which is, we couldn't do this before either, right? So I can just add different message variations here, right? So that the system can then, you can see I have two. One of them says, sorry, please enter a numerical value, Mr., Miss, whatever that person's name is, right? Which is coming from here. So that when that retry is happening, when that reprompt, I should say, is happening, then it's going to pick either one of those, right? So you can kind of have different prompts, different messages when this happens. Now, again, the reprompt is showing here as a value, right? Which allows me to say, okay, don't repeat this, repeat it once, or repeat it up to 2 times. But if I change this to formula, this is now going to allow me to, again, use a Power FX formula. Now you can see here that this is just how many reprompts, right? So if I wanted to do this 5 times, I can just enter the number 5 and it's going to reprompt the user that's chatting with your bot 5 times, as long as they're not entering the correct information, in this case, a number. And then we also have additional validation behavior here as well. So you know, like I just explained to you, that we can actually assign that entity to a question, which we did here. We're saying this is a number, right? A number entity. So we want to get a response that is a number. Now, this particular question is about a restaurant reservation, and it's asking how many people will be in your party, right? So that you can add a number to that, 15 people, 8 people, like whatever. But what if the number of people that will be attending cannot be over 15? Maybe they only have tables for a maximum of 15 people and you cannot have 20 people, right? Well, this is where this additional entity validation comes in. So the actual validation condition needs to be written in a Power FX formula and then entered in that condition field. So that's kind of what you're seeing over here, right? My formula is the party size, right? In my topic, the party size, remember, that is that variable needs to be smaller than 16. It's up to 15 people, right? In my particular case. And the thing with these formulas is that the formula that you enter in here must evaluate to either a true or a false statement. Now, keep in mind that the default behavior here is that when the Power FX condition is not met, then that condition not met message, that's what you're seeing over here, right? The condition not met prompt, that's going to be shown. Now, these messages, I kind of showed it to you earlier, right? You can just click on add. I'm going to go out of here, click add, do message variation, and then I can just start to enter my message. Sorry, we don't have room for that many people. Please choose a number below 16, right? You can do something like that. Now, I want to call out that at this time, I actually tested this additional validation function here is not working with this type of data. So I'm looking for a number. Currently, it's only working with string data types, but this is going to be fixed before this goes into GA. So keep that in mind as well. All right, let's scroll down a little bit further. Now, this says no valid entity found, right? So what this means is that, okay, so your bot asked a question, right? So it asks how many people will be in your party. Then it didn't get the response it expected. It did not get a number value, right, from the person who was interacting with this bot. Then it reprompted, still didn't get the correct response, did all the reprompts, right? Still didn't get that number value response. So then that means that no valid entity was found, right? After all of these responses or read prompts, asking again, we still did not get the answer that we were looking for, right? That particular entity that we were looking for. And then that's where the no valid entity found actually kicks in. So you can actually configure what is going to happen. What does the bot need to do when this scenario happens, right? And there's several, as you can see here, there are several actions that are going to be available. We can escalate this, right? We can escalate this particular person to the escalate topic. That's what that means. We can also set the variable, right? This number field, that variable, to a particular value. Or we can say we're going to set the variable to empty. It's not going to have a value in there at all. Again, this is just going to allow you to basically perform a particular action when this happens, right? Escalation is probably a good idea. Maybe get a live agent, right? Either on chat or on the phone, so that we can make sure that we have the correct number of people that are going to attend for dinner, right? For this restaurant reservation. Now, again, below you're going to have also a message, right? So if no entity found message, if this happens, do you also want to show a message? Then again, you can customize that by, again, adding, right, a message in here, and then that will be shown when this particular scenario occurs. And then lastly, one more thing is this interruption section that you have here. And now, this is where you can set if it is allowed or not for a customer that's interacting with your bot to switch to a different topic during this question. So this could be an important setting, right? As the information provided in this question could be crucial. So that's where you can decide whether or not you want that interruption to be available.
I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss another video again. Thanks for watching. Until next time.